Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be making a Valentine's tag rather than a Valentine's card. I just thought this would be a little bit quirky and something different. I pulled out quite a few dies. I've already cut all my bits, but I pulled out the Adornments Collection Traditional Top Layer and Stitch Tag die, and I've actually cut the biggest one. So that's that one. I've cut out the Textures Collection, and this is the Floral Link, and this is a beautiful background piece. So I've cut that one out. I've cut myself out some heart sprigs. I've cut out the open heart sprigs and I've cut out the solid heart sprigs. I don't know which ones of those I'm going to use yet, but I've cut them out ready. I've also cut out some of the fir and holly sprigs. Now I know this is potentially a Christmas die, but I just thought that these sprigs will go lovely with the florals that I'm using. I've cut out just the word love from the Framed Sentiments collection with love, and I haven't cut the backing for that one. So I've cut two of the biggest die tag shapes from the dies, and these tags measure just over 4 inches, 4 2/8, and the height of these are 8 inches. So I've cut two of those because I want to glue these together to make this a bit more substantial. I then cut the matte layer in this beautiful pinky, and it does have flecks of darker pink which make it look red, and this one measures 4 inches, just before 4 inches, and the height of that one is 7.5. So that's the tags that I'm using. I've taken the papers from the wood grain accents from Sentimentally Yours, and I used this one, and then I used this green one to cut myself out some different leaves. Pop that over there. And for my sprigs I used the Sumptuous Scarlet. So this is a 270 GSM cardstock, and all those products come from Sentimentally Yours. Now this is a really old Spellbinders die. I've been having a clear out. We're actually hoping to move house in the new year, so I've been having a clear out, and I'm coming across all these really old dies that have been stored away, and I just thought I would make some roses with this one today. So this one is called the Spiral Blossom 4. So that's that one. The floral that I've cut out from this die, and when this is cut out and put together, this is what it looks like. Absolutely stunning. Now I have cut 3 of these, and it's 3 that I want to use, but I've cut out a 4th one so that I can show you how I would pop this together. So to start with, I would just very gently go all the way around my die cut to give that a tiny bit of shape, and it just makes rolling this up a lot easier. So this is what I've done. I've just given that a bit of a twist. Now this has a white backing to this paper, so with the pattern side, the pattern that you want, if it's double-sided, whatever pattern you choose facing you, we're just going to roll this towards ourselves, and then what I would do once I get that started is pop that in between my finger and my thumb, and I would just roll this all the way around. Now try and keep this bottom edge as level as possible. It does get a tiny bit more difficult the thicker it becomes, but as you can see, it is manageable. We're going all the way around, and when you get to the center, just be very careful that you don't actually tear the base. So what I would do is bring that forward and just gently manipulate that around. So this is what we've ended up with. If we just let that go and let that do its thing for a few seconds until that's unraveled itself. And then I would take in my glue, and once you know that that's unraveled as much as it's going to unravel, I would put a nice round of glue. So I'm really pouring that glue all over that base. And then if you pop this down on your desk, bring that across and just hold the center and all those layers down, and you will need to hold that for, I would say, about 30 seconds, just until that glue's grabbed. And then we've got this really beautiful rose. I just went all the way around, and this one's actually got a much tighter center than the others, with some glue. So we've just gone all the way around with the glue, and then if I take in some white glitter, which I'm running very low on, and all I did with that was pour the glitter over, pour it back into the tub, and then we ended up with this stunning rose. Put that one to one side to dry. Pop my glitter back. So that's how the roses were made. I made 3 of those, and I popped a red pearl in the center. So if I take in my tag, my double-sided tear tape on the back of one, I'm just going to remove that tear tape. I just thought this would be something a little bit different rather than a Valentine's card. The nicest side, start with the hole, pop that together and just let that fall. Our tag is doubled up, and because we've got 2 layers, we can actually glue our matte layer on. So a nice amount of glue all around the edge and in the middle. I'm going to get this one nicely lined up. There we go. So there's our beautiful tag. Now the reason I decided not to make a card with this is because these dies are very, very 3D. To pop them onto a card, you would either need to hand deliver it or make a box for it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take in my textures piece, and I don't want this to be symmetrical. I'm just going to tear this. I'm not worried about how it tears. I just want this to look not so uniform. I'm just going to take off those corners, and this is going to sit on the center. Now for this one, I'm going to pop some glue down on my glass mat. Pick the glue up. Now this doesn't have to be glued down completely. I want this to look rugged, and that's exactly how I want that to look. Just give that glue a tiny clean up out the way. And now we can build up our roses. So what I thought I would do is have the 3 coming down in this corner, and I am going to glue those down. You can also use your hot glue gun for this if you want to. I think once the glue's dry it'll be absolutely fine. There's the first one. The second one is going to go slightly over the first one. So again, put a nice amount of glue on the back of there. Lay that one slightly, give that one a good squeeze down. And then this third one is going to go in this corner. So hold those down, that one just there, and give that one a nice squash down. And there's our florals. With roses, leaves are quite prickly, so I've actually cut the smallest of these leaves from the Adornments collection, Fir and Holly Sprigs. And what I thought I would do with these is I'm just going to poke these in on top of the bottom petal. I don't want to go underneath the floral. So this one's going to sit just there. So that one right the way down. Now can you see the height of this, how this is almost impossible to send this through the post. And this one is going to go right the way down, just there. I think we'll pop this one just on that space there. And how beautiful is that looking already? With these funny looking leaves, I'm just going to give them a tiny bit of shape. I'm going to pop one on this side. Give this one a tiny bit of shape. And I'm going to pop one up there. I'm not going to cut these down. Pop some glue on the back of there. Give that one a tiny squash down. And then the same with this one. We're just going to go right up to the base of that rose and give that one a squash down. So that's those. Now the difference with tags as well is it doesn't matter if you go over the edges. We're not popping this into an envelope. Okay, I've decided I'm going to use the closed up hearts for this. I'm just going to give that a tiny bit of shape. Just going to snip that down slightly. I'm going to put a nice line of glue on the back of there. Constantly turning my work so I can see what I'm doing, and this one is going to sit just there. I'll take a tiny bit off of that one. Give that one a tiny bit of shape. Again, nice line of glue. And this one's going to go just there, push down. So this is where we are with this. Within the open sprigs, obviously you get the waste, which are these tiny red hearts. So I am gonna make the most of those. So I'm gonna pop one just there and maybe one there. It's gonna sit just there. That one just there. So that's those two. I did cut the supports for the top. I did those in white. I'm just going to pop a tiny bit of glue on the back of that. So there's the front one. That just gives that a tiny bit more strength. And then all I need to do with this now is pop the word love. A tiny bit of glue on the back of there. And I think I'm going to have this up in this corner. We need to add our ribbons. So I'm going to decide the lengths that I think I want for this. Chop that off. And I'm just going to tie this in a knot, like so. Hold your ribbon nice and taut. Cut that on an angle. And then I'd like a bow. So if I take in my Old Faithful bow maker on prong number 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be quite a nice size bow. Now I'm going to make this not a double, but a triple. So I'm just going to go around the same prongs 3 times. I think that's 3 times, might be 4. Doesn't matter. And chop that off, make that quite nice and long for now. This one's going to go underneath. I'm going to pull that one through, up through the center. I can now remove the one that was being secured at the bottom. And I can tie that into a nice tight knot. And then release those. So what we've actually got now, we've actually got 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a 4, and this is gonna go on the top. Now with this bow, I am gonna pop this down with some hot glue, and I'm gonna sit that just underneath the hole, and then we can actually chop these down. See how one side longer than the other slightly. And then I thought, because we'd already done this rose, we might as well use it. A nice amount of glue on the back of there. I think I'm going to pop this one in that corner. Bit of a press down. It will grab eventually. And I've got 1 leaf left. And then I did cut a couple of these tiny sprigs. Chop the bottom off of that one. It's far too long. Give that one a tiny bit of shape. So how gorgeous is that Valentine's tag? So there's plenty of room to write whatever the giver wants to write on the back. I want to pop a tiny bead. that one there. And that one just there. I think that's all I want to do to that. I think we can over embellish. I'm just going to pop that to one side, pop my lid on. How gorgeous is that tag? Beautiful. That could be for a Valentine, be my Valentine. It says love on the front. You could write whatever you want to write on the back. Or something a little bit different, something quirky. I hope you enjoyed my little video. That's my contribution to Valentine's Day. And until the next time, thank you for watching. Bye for now.